I'm just going to wait a little bit and set up a few things before I get started. But really eager to speak to Dave, see what his thoughts are on this new lineup. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No problem. I'm going to set that focus. It's a bit of a one man show. Okay. So I'm here with Dave Smith. Dave Smith, is it your real name?
Yes, it is.
Sometimes I feel like people take on some artist names to make it look cooler.
Well, not this. That can't possibly be an artist name.
Okay. So I'm first of all, I'm wondering how you got into synthesizers and stuff.
Ooh, going way back? Well, I played music. I was in bands and so forth back in high school and college days, and I also had a technical background. So when synthesizers first came out in the early 70s, I bought one to play with, started making things to go with it, and before long I was building synthesizers.
Was it like a small community of geeks back then? Or did everybody know each other? Or was it thing emerging in different camps?
Oh, it was fun back then in the late 70s because we were all competitors, but we were all friends. So I knew Roger Lynn and Tom Oberheim and Bob Moog and Alan Perlman. We all just kind of hung out together at NAMM shows and stuff. And so even though we were competitors to the death, it was a very friendly time. It was a great time. We had a lot of fun.
That's nice. So how do you feel that things are evolving now? If we're going to keep it to the point, from back then till today, what's the stages that we've been through, and how do you think of the future of synthesizers?
Well, as you know, everybody's talking about how analog is making this big resurgence, and I think we had a little to do with that over the last 10 years by reintroducing analog hardware, starting with the Evolver in my case. And so it's fun to see. And then the whole explosion of the modular scene, it's fun. There's so much new stuff going on. It's a great time to be making analog stuff.
Yeah. So what about your company? How many people are you working on these things before you take it to manufacturing?
Well, there's only 10 people in our company. We keep things very small. It makes it much easier. So we don't have a marketing department, we don't have a sales department, we just do what we want to do, and it makes it much faster because we can just conceive of an instrument, we design it, we build it, and we ship it. So it's so much faster, and I think it gives our instruments more of a personality because it's not designed by committee. When there's a big company and they have to ask too many people and everybody wants to get their stuff in there, sometimes the instruments lose focus. So that's one of the things we get to do.
That's really nice. So so in the end products, you're about 10 people, you say? So who designs what? Is it like a clear line between who does what?
Well, I do a little bit of everything. I work on the hardware, I work on the software. I have one other hardware person, I have one other software person, so it's kind of a small group. I mean, we all just kind of get things done. But I've been doing this for 40 years, so I can almost do it in my sleep now.
So where are you based?
We're in San Francisco, and all of our instruments are actually built in San Francisco. Yeah.
So this is a personal question. When like this, you got a new series now, Pro 6 and 12. How many of these of the patches that come with it is coming from you directly? And are you like a team of patch creators?
Well, we do have, every instrument we do, it's usually a different set of people. Some of them are the same. I might have a handful of patches in there, or sometimes none at all. It just depends. We don't have any basic rule on how we do things, but generally we'll build a number of pre-production units just to verify everything's perfect, and then we send those out and have people make up sounds, and then we collect them all back and pick the best ones and put them in the machine.
So at what point do you know that you're happy with the new device?
That varies also. In this case, we just started on this last summer. It's a new design, and we just got it working in time for the show, getting everything running, and it just sounds great. So as soon as you play it, because you have everything going, you usually know.
When you create a patch and you start making a sound, and you're happy with the synthesis and everything, what do you think of? What do you put into the patch from yourself? Is it like, do you start out with a memory, or is it like just sonic adventures, or?
There again, no specific way of things happening. Sometimes I'll just be testing something. You know, as you build things, you got to test a feature when you first implement it, and a lot of times you find, oh, where did the last hour go? You know, I was testing something and it sounds good and it takes me in another direction, and then I'll hit the right button and save it. So, but other times I'll say, oh, I wonder if I could do this kind of thing. But that's the most fun part about doing instruments, is seeing what other musicians do. You know, designing an instrument doesn't mean anything unless a musician makes music with it. So it's like a couple days ago, Richard Devine was here playing the Prophet 6, and within a couple minutes he had it sounding like a very cool modular synth, and I was going, wow, that's kind of cool to know that this instrument can do that, because, you know, we haven't played with it long enough to know what we can do with it yet. So that's when it's fun to see what other people do with it.
There's one thing that I need to ask you, is that I feel like these are designed for keyboardists, the new 6 and 12, because of the rich polyphony and stuff. And me myself, I play keyboards, and you know, both as a keyboardist and sort of programming as well. And I think there's been like a long time where some sounds are just too extreme to be played as a regular keyboard player in a band. And when I heard some of the new patches on the Pro 6 and 12, I felt like, yeah, maybe it makes more sense to play in a band with this. Like, if you're going to back up a singer, how do you play? Do you feel like, what do you say about that?
Well, we never design an instrument targeting an audience. We don't say this is for rock and roll, this is for EDM. We just like to craft the synth engine and the look and feel, personality instrument, and then see where it goes. Yeah, I mean, you can't predict. You know, music can be very fashionable, so you never know what sounds, if somebody's going to come up with a sound that everybody has to have, or whether it's just a good basic sound that everybody wants to use. You know, that's out of our control, and I think it'd be a mistake to try to target anything specifically. But I think you're right, this and the Prophet 12 are really good for just your keyboard player, sit down, play the thing, make it, just listen to it. On the other hand, it's like I said with Richard Devine, you go in, you can get all kinds of crazy stuff out of it too.
I think that's an aspect from many keyboardists going back to very old machines, like an original Wurlitzer or an original, you know, Rhodes and stuff, because they play so well with vocalists and with, you know, they get a space in the mix in the band.
People always tell me that what they like about the analog synths the most is that they fit into a mix.
Yeah.
You know, a digital synth or software synth might sound really good if you're in a music store and you play some demo patches that sound huge and stuff, but they're not always all that usable for real music. Whereas people tell me that the analog synths just kind of slide into the mix, you know, and they're more musical. And that's one of those things that's hard to define. I mean, is it fat? Is it warm? You know, I don't know, but it works.
Well, thank you. I wonder if you got time could you just go through a little short, you know, introduction of how you would make a sound?
Well, it's so easy because you could just start turning knobs. I mean, if I wanted to cheat, I could just turn on the arpeggiator and just start.
Did you put it in some sort of a hold mode now?
What?
Was it in some kind of hold? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So.
So what aspect of this is there something you're particularly proud of with this new Prophet?
There's never any one thing, you know. It's got the soul of the Prophet 5. You know, the interface is all one-to-one, no menu diving because there's no menus, there's no screen. But it's what the Prophet 5 would be 35 years later because we added aftertouch and velocity and a high-pass filter and arpeggiator and sequencer and all this stuff that obviously weren't on the original. And it wasn't made to sound exactly like the Prophet 5 because that's kind of silly, but it definitely has that vibe, the same sound, I think.
I just tried it briefly. I think it sounds really good, and it's like the preciseness of the 21st century that just wasn't there back then, and it's appearing in here and there in different new analog synthesizers. But is it all digitally controlled?
Of course, just like the Prophet 5 was all digitally controlled.
And I listened to when you kind of rolled through presets, it was super fast to change the patches. Is this something you could do in a step sequencer? Could you program it to change sounds from a step sequencer?
I mean, you could do anything you want from MIDI. You could sequence and change sounds and do whatever you want. So we tried to keep the interface really simple. So the sequencer is literally 2 buttons. You know, you record and you play back. It's a polyphonic step sequencer, so you can have up to 64 steps of up to 6 notes, and you can play along while it's playing, but there's no overdubbing, there's no controller stuff. I mean, it's meant to just be a very fast scratch pad, so, you know, if I want to do a quick demo of the sound, you know, I could just hit a button and it just goes. Anyhow, you get the idea.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been very nice. I'm gonna give it a go and see what it sounds like in my hands.
Okay. Yeah, there's another unit over here if you want to play around with it. So.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.